ever thought that the biggest threat to your fertility might not be what you eat or how much you exercise, but that glowing screen in your hand right before you fall asleep? It sounds pretty dramatic, I know, but the science is pointing to a really serious connection.
So let's just ask the question right out of the gate. Could that seemingly harmless habit, scrolling through your feed, checking a few last-minute emails in bed, could it actually be putting your entire reproductive system on high alert? Today, we're going to connect those dots.
We are going to dive deep into this, but through the lens of sleep science. Welcome to Sleepedia, a corner of the internet dedicated to the science of sleep and circadian rhythms. Today, we're investigating this hidden culprit called circadian disruption, and you're about to see how it goes way, way beyond just feeling a little groggy the next day.
So our first piece of evidence takes us inside the incredible timing system running your body. And here's the kicker. You don't just have one clock in your brain. Turns out you have tiny clocks all over your body. And when they fall out of sync, that's when the trouble starts. It all kicks off with this idea of local clocks. It's pretty wild, but specific organs, including the testes, have their very own internal clocks. These are run by some really important genes, you can see them here, called CLOCK and BMAL1, and their entire job is to meticulously manage the timeline for sperm production. So, here's where things go sideways. In your brain, you've got the master clock. It sees light and says, okay, it's daytime, let's get going. Then you have the local clocks in the testes, which are supposed to follow the master clock's lead to manage sperm production. But when you stare at that bright phone screen late at night, you're tricking your brain's master clock into thinking it's still daytime. Your body, meanwhile, knows it's the middle of the night. This clash, this circadian misalignment, causes a total breakdown in communication. And it's not just about mixed signals, it's also about temperature. Your body's core temperature is naturally supposed to drop while you sleep. This creates the perfect, cool environment for making healthy sperm. But when you don't get enough sleep, that rhythm gets thrown off. Your body basically stays running hot all night, creating a really hostile environment for that whole delicate process. Now let's bring in our next key player in this whole story. We all think of melatonin as just this sleep hormone, right? But it is so much more than that. For our purposes, think of it as a critical protective agent, a midnight defender for your reproductive health. Melatonin actually provides this incredible two-layer protection. So let's imagine sperm production is like a factory. Well, melatonin protects the factory workers. These are the Leydig and Sertoli cells that build testosterone and nurture the sperm. But maybe even more critically, it defends the blueprint itself, the precious DNA inside every single sperm, from getting damaged. So what happens when that melatonin shield is down? When that late-night light from your phone crushes your melatonin production, you lose that defense. The whole system is left wide open to damage, a process that scientists sometimes call biological rust. And this rust leads directly to something called sperm DNA fragmentation, which is a major, major cause of infertility. This brings us to the third and final piece of the puzzle: hormones. We tend to think of testosterone as just being there, but its production is actually a super active rhythmic event that happens almost entirely while you're in a deep sleep. Testosterone production depends on this really precise chain of command. Your brain sends a signal to your pituitary gland, which then sends another signal down to your testes telling them, hey, it's time to make testosterone. But, and this is the key, this all happens in strong, powerful pulses during deep, consolidated sleep. When your sleep is broken up or too short, It's like literally cutting the wire on this communication line. The signals just get weak and fizzle out. So, what's the real-world impact of cutting that wire? I mean, how bad can it really be? Well, get this. After just 1 week of sleep restriction, we're talking only 5 hours a night, healthy young men saw their testosterone levels absolutely plummet by a shocking 10 to 15%. Just let that sink in for a second. 10 to 15%. To give you some perspective, testosterone normally declines by about 1 to 2% per year as men age. So what this means is that a single week of bad sleep can hormonally age a man by a decade, maybe even more. That is just staggering. What's the final verdict in our investigation here? Well, the evidence is pretty overwhelming, isn't it? We have to stop thinking of sleep as this passive, throwaway part of our day and start seeing it for what it truly is: an active, powerful, and absolutely essential tool for our health. So let's just recap. When your internal clocks are a mess because of circadian disruption, you're not just tired. You're taking a direct hit to the three fundamental pillars of male fertility. Your sperm quality goes down, your DNA integrity goes down, and your testosterone goes down. All of that from a wonky sleep schedule. And this really brings us to the most important takeaway of all. In our modern, always-on, 24/7 culture, probably the most radical and impactful thing you can do for your hormonal health, for your future family, it might just be the simplest one. And that's just giving your body permission to truly rest and recover every single night. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. This isn't just about not feeling tired tomorrow. This is about actively maintaining a fundamental biological system. So knowing that sleep is an active duty, how are you going to choose to protect it tonight?